who have served on behalf of the United States of America. Its beginnings actually goes back to Armistice Day, and that goes back to Woodrow Wilson. But there's another president that was much closer to us as far as proximity and miles, and his name was Dwight D. Eisenhower from the small town of Abilene, Kansas, in the state of Kansas. And on June the 1st, 1954, he signed the legislation that it would be tomorrow would be officially entitled and called Veterans Day, a day that we would remember all of those men and women who have fought and have also worn the uniform in peace times. And if you've been watching our local newspaper or watching social media, what we're getting ready to see has been happening in different places in Stillwater for our veterans. And what a delight that it's going to happen here today. Several months ago, many months ago, Ray called and said, would you please put out an email? Would you please find out the men and women who have served in the Stillwater Frontier Rotary Club? And several of you kept asking, why? What are we going to do? And Ray kept saying, don't say a word. It is a secret. So the secret has been released. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ray. Yes.
My wife is a proud military brat. She was born in occupied Japan, started school in Germany, saw all kinds of parts of the world. And in these latter days, she's been saying thank you to veterans through the work with her merry band of quilters and the Quilt of Honor Foundation. So it's my wife, Sarah.
What'd you say? What'd you say? Somebody help me with this. I usually don't need a microphone. I can use my teacher voice. That'd help. I'm gonna let you work on it. Thank you. Okay. Yes, I told him he could say two things. I was his wife and I was part of the program. So he did well. Thank you. Thank you all very much for allowing me to come today. But I'm not here by myself because what I may be the face of Quilts of Valor in Stillwater. The ladies over here at this table, ladies, would you please stand? There is Gail Gillum, Mary Kellum, Susan Bertram, and Belda Lorenz. They are part of the Quilts of Valor, and Vanessa Seward and Patty Armbruster, as well as myself, represent the Daughters of the American Revolution. So they work in joint with us, okay? And couldn't do it. This is a group effort. It's not one person, okay? Now, let me tell you about Quilts of Valor. It began as a dream of Catherine Roberts when her son was in Iraq. When she first, in her dream, saw a young man sitting on the side of his cot in utter despair. His war demons were around him. And the next part of her dream, she saw that he had a quilt around him. And it changed his demeanor, and he was comforted and knowing that someone cared. I'm sorry, I've got to get my glass of water. Sorry about that. The quilt made the difference. The first quilt was awarded at Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Christmas of 2003. And in 19 years, 326,777 quilts have been awarded in Iraq, Afghanistan, Germany, and here in the United States. And I did a math problem. That means those quilts, all quilts have been wrapped around the world 311 times. And we're honored to be able to add to that number. Many ask me who qualifies for a Quilt of Valor. Our mission says we're supposed to cover those who are touched by war, but how do you define a veteran? And this is my answer. A veteran, whether active duty, retired, National Guard, or reserve, is someone who at one point in their life raised their hand and swore allegiance to the United States of America to protect and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And in doing that, they also signed a blank check up to and including their life. They were ready to go to do as they were trained when they were called, because all assignments are touched by war. And if you ask many of them today, they would tell you that no one has relieved them of that oath. And although a Quilt of Valor cannot be awarded posthumously, I want to take a moment to honor the memory of Dr. James Halligan. His information said that he was in the Air Force for 4 years as a language specialist as part of an intelligence unit. And once you see the word intelligence unit, you don't get to ask any more questions. His recent passing was not only a loss for his wife, Anne, but to all of the OSU. I just took a breath at the wrong time. OSU family, and here in Stillwater, as well as the state of Oklahoma. He influenced not only those in Stillwater, but across the state. And our member, Gail Gillum, she told us that when she worked at OSU, Dr. Halligan would always ask her about her son, because he knew that he was in Afghanistan, and this meant so much to him. Excuse me. Okay. We have several quilts to award, and I'm told that time is of the essence, so we're going to get the show on the road. So when your name is called, please come forward. We will honor you with a quilt. We will show you it. We'll wrap it around you. The ladies will ask, do you mind if we give you a hug? And then we will tell you, thank you. You also will receive a certificate, and I will read it once after all of the awards have been, after all the quilts. Bill Armstrong. Bill is a man of few words. All he said was that he served in the Army for 20 years, from 1962 to 1984. Yeah, they're going to fold it up again and then bring it to you, okay? Richard Ayers. Richard served in the Oklahoma National Guard, the 189th Field Artillery of the 45th Division Headquarters from 1971 to 1975. He applied for the chaplaincy program since he was in graduate seminary, but he didn't receive a commission. There were too many chaplains returning from Vietnam at the time in 1975, but he was called on active duty for 3 years related to domestic threats, and he was a forward observer and chaplain's assistant. Now, if anybody knows how dangerous that forward observer situation was, he had God on his side. On summer camp, he was busy counseling those who received divorce papers and news of family losses from Vietnam. Charles Campbell. Charles served in the U.S. Army Field Artillery. I have to ask, were you ever at Fort Sill? Fort Sill was the artillery center. My dad was artillery. We always came back. I call it home. Active duty from 1967 to 1969, and part of the Army Reserves until 1973. We always ask permission about that. If the wife's there, we usually ask the wife, is it all right if we give him a hug? Jane Curtis. Jane served in the Army Air Force, the Air Force and Army, and also in the Texas Air National Guard and Oklahoma National Guard. She served a total of 40 years and 2 days. She retired on the 12th of November of 2014. She started out as an enlisted man, was promoted and retired as a colonel. Jeremiah Gregory. He served in the Air Force from 2001 to 2013, and he served in Afghanistan. Larry Hoberock. He served in the U.S. Air Force security system from 1963 to 1967. He was a Morse code. Well, oh, I'm sorry. All right, then. Oh, then we'll play Quiz Bowl. Where'd you serve? Okay. 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 We can't ask him questions either. I'm terribly sorry, Larry. Mark Thomas. Mark, I was told that you served in the U.S. Navy. Am I right? From 1966 to 1970. Who are we looking for? Who? I think Patty knows him. And Mike Veldman. There he is. Mike, I have down here that you were Air Force IT specialist. No? Well, Ray was trying to fill in some blanks, and he told me that you were in 13 different countries, was in Vietnam twice, was assigned to the SAC Strategic Air Command, which also means we can't ask him any questions. And then I don't know whether he said this tongue in cheek or not, but his security clearance is higher than the president's. Mark Wagner. Mark so kindly showed us a challenge coin from Special Forces. If you aren't familiar with challenge coins, okay, they are intricate part of the military. James McDonald. No, I already did him. Who am I? What? Mark Wagner. Okay, that's the end of it then. All right.
Back up. You need to wrap that around you.
See, I can't do this by myself. I screw it up. So I must be in good company, huh? So, Mike, wherever you are. Who's the one I need? Mike McDonald? James McDonald, where are you? Oh, James, I'm sorry. I'm looking at that. Looks like you were Air Force. You were. Security system. He's the Morse code intercept operator who was listening and transcribing foreign communications as part of the National Security Association. There he is. We can't ask him questions either. Do you realize these guys know a whole lot? But we're not supposed to know about it. Veterans, if you wouldn't mind, would you please stand and open up your certificates while I read so everybody knows what is written on there. Everybody ready? On behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, in recognition of your service and sacrifice to this nation, it is a privilege to serve, honor, and comfort you through the awarding of this Quilt of Valor. Though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, as a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, we award you this Quilt of Valor. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for your service.